What was the significance of the White Lotus Rebellion? The White Lotus Rebellion took place from 1794 until 1804 and was an uprising initiated by followers of the White Lotus movement during the Qing dynasty. It was motivated by millenarian Buddhists who promised the immediate return of the Buddha. The rebellion erupted out of social and economic discontent in the impoverished provinces of Hubei, Shaanxi and Sichuan. Erupting in 1794, the rebellion began when large groups of rebels claiming affiliations to the White Lotus rose up in the mountainous regions that separate Sichuan province from the provinces of Hubei and Shaanxi. Although the rebellion was crushed by the Qing government after a period of 8 years of unrest, it marked a sharp decline in the strength and prosperity of the Qing dynasty. The Qing government of Manchu descent had to rely on Han Chinese recruits into the Green Standard Army, as there were not enough Manchus of fighting age. By the conclusion of the rebellion, around 100,000 rebels had been killed. A brief history of the White Lotus Society. The White Lotus Rebellion began initially as an anti-tax protest led by the White Lotus Society, a secret religious society. This society was traditionally considered to have first appeared during the Jin dynasty and was founded by Hai Yuan at Mount Lushan, Zhejiang, Jiangxi province. The Red Turban Rebellion took place in 1352 and was also led by the White Lotus. By 1387, after more than 30 years of war, their leader Zhu Yuanzhang conquered the North China plain and occupied the Yuan capital of Kanbalik, present-day Beijing. Having attained the mandate of heaven and the status of emperor, Zhu Yuanzhang named his period of reign Hongwu and became the Hongwu Emperor. As emperor, he created a new dynasty, the Ming dynasty. The same group, the White Lotus, re-emerged in the late 18th century as an inspired Chinese movement. Wanglun Uprising. In 1774, there was an incident involving a derivative sect of the White Lotus movement known as 8 trigrams, which arose from underground meditation learning sessions in Shandong province, close to the city of Linqing. The leader was herbalist and martial artist Wang Lun, who led his sect to capture 3 small cities and the largest city of Linqing, which is set at a strategic location alongside the north-south Grand Canal transportation route. The uprising failed because Wang Lun did not make any effort to raise wide public support. He also failed to distribute any captured wealth or food supplies among the people of the region, nor did he offer to lessen the tax burden on those people. Unable to build up a base of support, he was quickly forced to flee the cities he had captured in order to evade capture by government soldiers. Although he, for a short period of time, controlled an area inhabited by almost 1 million people, his army never measured more than 4,000 soldiers, many of those having been pressed into service. White Lotus Rebellion. A similar movement began in the mountainous region that separated Sichuan province from its neighbouring provinces of Hubei and Shaanxi in 1796. The protests began initially against taxes. The White Lotus movement led impoverished settlers into eventual rebellion, promising them personal salvation in return for their loyalty. Beginning merely as a protest against taxes, the equivalent rebellion gained growing support and sympathy among ordinary people. In January 1797, another smaller protest began when Wang Nanxian, a Mo ritual expert and Buyei leader, led the Nantong uprising in Guizhou province. The uprising was soon defeated, but it cemented the status of Wang Nanxian as a Buyei folk hero in popular tales such as the immortal Lady Wang. Suppression of the revolt. The Qianlong emperor, who ruled China from 1735 until 1796, sent Herlin, the brother of Hershen, more about Hershen in a future video, and Fukangang to quell the uprising. In somewhat of a surprise outcome, the poorly organized rebels managed to defeat the Qing imperial forces. Both Herlin and Fukangang were killed in a battle in 1796, and the Qing government sent more officials who were also unsuccessful. It was not until 1800 and new tactics were adopted by the Qing in that local militias were established to help surround and eventually destroy the White Lotus movement. The Qianlong Emperor ordered that the 8 banner armies were not to be used to suppress an internal uprising. Instead, the Qing relied on the Chinese Green Standard Army and Han militias to suppress any rebellions that broke out, including that of the White Lotus. Commanders of the Qing armies sent to quell the rebels had a difficult time in putting down the White Lotus. Bands of rebels used guerrilla tactics to attack the Qing before blending into the local population, making identification of those rebels almost undistinguishable. One Qing official summarized the situation as, "The rebels are all our own subjects. They are not like some foreign tribe that can be demarcated by a territorial boundary and identified by distinctive clothing and language. When they congregate, they oppose the government. They are rebels. When they disperse and depart, they are civilians once more." Without a clear enemy to fight, brutality against civilians became commonplace. This was followed by a program of pacification after complaints of the brutality issued against innocent civilians. The population was resettled into hundreds of stockaded villages and was organized into militias. The Qing suppression policy combined the pursuit and extermination of rebel bands of guerrillas and offered a program of amnesty for deserters. By 1805, the imperial government had suppressed the White Lotus Rebellion through the use of military and social policies. Approximately 7,000 banner army soldiers were sent from Manchuria to work alongside those from the Green Standard Army sent from the provinces of Yunnan and Guizhou, in addition to tens of thousands of local mercenaries. Ultimately, the White Lotus Rebellion was brought to a close in 1804 due to the myth surrounding the military invincibility of the Manchus and their contribution into quelling the increased frequency of rebellions against the Qing dynasty during the 19th century. In fact, the White Lotus movement continued to be active and might even have influenced the next major domestic rebellion, that of the 8 trigrams uprising of 1813. Although throughout the 1820s and 1830s, the area of the provincial border between Henan and Anhui was perpetually plagued by White Lotus rebels, as their surviving rebels were in league with outlaws and salt smugglers based in those areas. Legacy of the White Lotus Rebellion. The tide of the rebellion was turned by leaders of the Qing dynasty through their reliance on the local gentry raising private militias created in the provinces of Hunan, Hubei and Shaanxi. Once the rebellion was mostly suppressed, this led to improvements in the organization and training of those militias, as their leaders focused extensively on mobilization, enlistment and local defenses. These militia groups were later instrumental in helping to defeat the later Taiping Rebellion. 48 years after the White Lotus Rebellion had ended, Zheng Guofan, the leader of the Hunan-based Xiang army, studied the Qing government's methods deployed during the White Lotus Rebellion and was inspired to use them to suppress the Taiping Rebellion. That brings us to the end of this video, a period of Chinese history of the last years of the 18th and early 19th century that became a testing time for the Qing dynasty to control for around a decade as unrest unsettled large areas of the country. If you've enjoyed watching and has shown you a little detail of life and events here in China, then your subscribing to my channel would mean a lot to me. Thank you for watching. Make sure you click on the link to the next video, and until the next time, goodbye for now.